Whoa there, Space Cowboy. Brokeback Bebop is a podcast with explicit content intended only for mature bounty hunters. Listener discretion is advised. Listen to all 40 steamy sessions of the show right now by supporting Brokeback Bebop at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay.
3, 2, 4. Just kidding. 1, let's jam.
I really wanted to be doing some soulful sax in the back of your countdown. Yeah.
Well, give me a little then. Give me a taste. Hi, everybody out there. Welcome back to Brokeback Bebop, the 26th episode, which means we're done. We're here. It's the final episode. Oh, wait, checks notes.
Correction,
we did a fake episode that was a YouTube video. Oh, yeah, we did do that, didn't we? It's the episode before last.
If you were like, hey, Steven, what happened in that bonus episode that we did a whole episode on? I could not tell you one thing.
I remember the whole episode was them talking nonsense over clips from the show, and then a big, fuck you to the network at the end for canceling them, and a promise to be back. And just like that, we're here to say, fuck you, network, even though we don't answer to one, and we produce this totally on our own. We're not taking any of the shit that the man has given us.
Fuck you, big pod.
We're bringing you unadulterated, hot, thick,
this is pirate radio.
Bebop.
Wasn't Philip Seymour Hoffman in Pirate Radio? Did you?
Yeah, but I didn't watch it. But did you know that in other countries that film is entitled "The Boat That Rocked"?
Oh, I think it's a better title.
It's a good title. It's not bad.
Better than Pirate Radio.
It's better than Brokeback Bebop. We should. Welcome to
the boat that beebed.
Welcome to the boat that rocked, everyone. Today we're talking about the 25th session of Cowboy Bebop. It's The Real Folk Blues, Part 1.
Zach, isn't that the name of the song that plays at the end of every episode?
I don't think so.
The Real Folk Blues. I don't know. I took it up an octave.
And I've been wondering, but what are the real folk blues? Because I've been hearing all kinds of folk blues, but which are the real folk blues?
It's got something to do with the rose and the rain.
Over these two parts, we're going to figure that out. We're talking about Part 1 today, the real Fuck Blues Part 1. This episode was storyboarded by Shinichiro Watanabe. It was directed by Ikuro Sato, and it was written by Keiko Nobumoto. I noticed these last couple episodes are pretty much like the dream team of the show.
Yeah.
The three people that most frequently fill those roles are back to do these last couple episodes. This one originally aired on April 17th, 1999 in Japan, and it originally aired on November 19th, 2001 in the U.S., and let's get into it. Let's do some trivia.
Yeah, yesterday was 9/11.
Well, by the time people are listening to this, who knows what day it is? But I like to think every day yesterday was 9/11 in my heart.
Elmo wishes it was Christmas every day.
I've got 4 questions for you, my friend.
I wrote down 3 this time,
okay,
Zachary,
then I'll start.
So why don't you go ahead and start us off?
I already said I would.
Why don't you go ahead and start us off this week, Zach, with the questions? You've got 4, I've got 3. It should shake down.
It makes sense
nice and
to
even.
do it that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead, take it away, Zachary.
What's the name of the bar? Every time I do that, how hard is it for you to not interrupt me one more time? Is it really tempting to do it one more time?
You know, comedy comes in 3s, Zach. So.
Yeah, but we've done it so many hundreds of times.
The big sign held up behind you by your assistant really does tell. Then they're like, no fucking more. We're on a time crunch.
Thanks,
like,
Lana.
all right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What is the name of the bar we find Jet and Spike?
Ooh, I don't know
the
that
beginning
one.
of
Is
the
it
episode.
the Prickly Pete's.
That's close. It's called the Loser Bar. It just says Loser Bar, which is really funny because they're kind of losers at the beginning of the episode.
Well, I've got a question for you, Zach.
That's how the game works.
Whose brother comes to Spike's aid when they're at the bar attacked by red dragons?
Is it Lynn? Was the name Lynn?
Of the brother, you're correct.
But you're asking for the character from this episode.
No, I said whose brother comes to help.
And
It is Lynn's brother. You're correct.
Lynn,
His
Manuel,
brother Chin.
Miranda Wright.
Oh, que calor.
What city does Shin tell Spike to find Julia in?
Ooh, is she in, it's like Trasher Sect or something like that, right?
Tharsis.
Tharsis. I knew there was a T.
Yeah, but you were really not close.
Come on. Why does Faye tell Julia she is taking a break from bounty hunting?
Does she give anything more specific than just, like, for personal reasons? I'm taking a vacation?
Got it. You hit the nail on the head.
Was that a, oh shit, I gotta write another question down moment?
You know, I was like, oh, how can I, slip one in there?
Well, let me slip one right into you.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Alfredo supposed to meet his mother?
At the goddamn curry restaurant, but his depressed ass old mom.
Curry restaurant.
She was like, nobody's gonna want me. I don't care who the fuck comes to pick me up.
When she literally has meal plans with her child that she's
says,
blowing
Mom,
on.
I invited you here. I built a whole addition in my house. Will you?
Yeah. He could be fucking his co-host that's gonna marry her agent, but instead he's chasing his mom from airport to airport.
Exactly.
All right, you got one more?
One more. How many syndicate elders are there?
Are there 3 or are there
more
more
than
than that?
3 of those old bastards.
Part of me thought maybe there were 6 and there were 3
Well,
because
there's a shot in the episode where it has like 3 of them on one side and 3 on the other, but it's the same 3. It was a side angle.
I've got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What color shall the turtle man's tears run?
Oh, I almost asked the same question. Is it crimson?
No, it isn't.
It's something to do with...
Do you want to try again?
Burgundy.
No. You want to try one more time? Do you have a guess?
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts. Does that count?
They were all shades of red.
The assistant behind me is holding up a sign that says no. That does not
damn
count
it.
as a point.
Fuck
Steven.
you, Alana.
Sorry, Alana.
Little is it known, I hired Alana first.
Dog
and fired
scraps
her.
for you tonight again, I guess.
She eats after.
Sorry, I've got to get up and let them out real quick. Lana has to use the litter box.
They will hold it until we're done.
All right, so what's next? I think we did it. Bye, everybody. This has been for the final time
of the show.
The Brokeback Bebop
is the time of the show. It is the witching hour where Zach is gonna let us know how well Zach comprehended the episode this week.
That's kind of what it's called. That's kind of what the segment's called.
Well, because here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not a matter of did you. I trust you, Zach.
Yeah.
I know you. You've seen the episode at least twice now. You've digested it. You
give me shit for not getting stuff in episodes all the time, though.
Well, yeah, because you've seen it 4 times as many as I have, Zach. Today.
That's just not true.
You gotta carry the 3, Zach.
Yeah, okay.
Check your work.
There was never a 3.
But the part of the show where I give Zach 20 seconds to describe in painstaking detail.
Let's stake that pain, Daddy.
What the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
This is a tricky one, Zach, because it is part 1 of a 2-parter.
And I don't know the second part yet.
Yeah. It is the lighter of the 2 loads that are going to be dropped on you this evening. But... it's still a load nonetheless. How are you feeling? Do you feel like the load is one you can handle, or are you going to need some paper towels?
I'm a man. I don't use paper towels. I've got the same Brillo pad I've used since 1999, and I'm not changing it up tonight. I don't feel bad because I feel like maybe the episode being open-ended and my recaps frequently being open-ended, it might work out this time. Who knows?
All right, well, we'll see. Well, my stopwatch is set to 0.0000
9% alcohol beer deep, so we'll see what happens. Because last time I said like the right thing and then shit, fuck for the rest of the time. So let's see what happens.
Fuck, shit, bitch. Yeah, I'm Shaq West and I'm getting really rich. That's from the song Mo Bamba from Shaq West. Check it out.
Shrek
Hitting your
West.
airwaves.
Big fans.
Yeah, it's Kanye's ogre persona. he just paints himself.
No,
green
I
and
think
tells him to get out of his
Kanye is
swamp.
already his ogre persona.
Don't tell him that.
Okay.
Co-parenting. Okay. Are you ready, Zachary?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, on go. As per the usual, we're not switching it up this far in. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Vicious tried to pull off a January 6th, and he's going to be sentenced to the death because of it. And Spike is on the chopping block because of it. So Jet and Spike have to run away from the syndicate. But meanwhile, Spike is finding out that Julia is still out there and looking for him. So he has to make a decision. Does he go for her? Does he run? Meanwhile, Faye meets Julia, and they team up and do a Thelma and Louise thing.
Stop!
Okay, there's a lot that I could have gotten, but I feel like I got a decent amount. Like, I filled the time with stuff.
You did. You were talking the whole time, but
there was a decent amount of stuff I could have. I felt like everything I said was noteworthy.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get about Julia having to deal with what Vicious has dealt her.
I liked that you...
And I wanted to end with Spike and Julia, but I didn't.
I liked that you got in there some stuff about the coup, because that's important. You got that Faye and Julia met, and you got that Spike was, deciding whether or not to go after them. You didn't really get that, Faye was kind of on her own, doing her own thing before then. I didn't hear anything about Jet getting shot.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
true.
major occurrence.
That's fair. Nah.
Or the Syndicate wanting to, take down people related to Vicious, such as...
I feel like I kind of got that. I said that Spike was on the chopping block because of what Vicious did.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a
just fuck me already.
Solid,
just look me in the eye and
like
fuck me
dead
already.
Center, 83 out of 100 B.
Yeah, I'll take that. That feels fair. That feels good. I felt like I did all right, but I didn't do outstanding.
Firm but fair.
Yeah, and that's how I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Not
then what do you
hard,
want to talk about
not
this
too
week?
soft.
Let's talk about the episode. It's an important episode. You're right that it's the lighter one, but it is one half of the series finale.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on here, a lot of things going towards their conclusion. Suddenly, even more so than last week, it feels like we're nearing the end of the story.
Yeah, I think this episode. Now, when I just am gonna I'm in the mood for some dramatic bebop, and I'm gonna watch the finale. I do always watch part 1 because I think that this is a really solid episode. I think the scenes. I like the Syndicate stuff quite a bit, especially this episode because I think,
honestly like it more in this episode, about more than I have so far.
I think that as much as Vicious is a bad guy, and as much as he is quite literally Lord Farquaad in the live action,
I thought
Anime
he
Vicious
had some Steven Tyler vibes in this episode a little.
I fucking love Vicious. I think he's such a cool villain because the Syndicate elders call him out correctly. He's an ambitious guy who wants to run this crime organization, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get there, including try and kill these 3 guys in their sleep, which he should have gotten some more thorough people because you can pretty clearly see there are not 3 tiny men in that one bed that they shoot, and there's a whole staircase they could have peeked up beforehand, so hire better people. But I think that to jump ahead a bit to the end of the episode, I think that whole scene where he's chained up and he's about to be executed, and then he has a couple of the guards in his back pocket and they start I think that scene is so badass. It's so cool.
You're right. A couple of things that makes me think, first of all, is that it's really interesting in a show in a world where there isn't really good and bad. In shows like that, I feel like the villains are all the more interesting because you can see their motives, and it's not like the heroes don't act just as cruelly sometimes. But at the same time, they'll look in Vicious' eye and in Vicious's that's a silly thing to say. In Vicious's, the look in his eye is intimidating. It's just he's got an air about him. And you're right, when he breaks free at the end, yes, you want to see him get the shit kicked out of him, but not like that. He's got to go seek out that last vengeance before he's really taken down or before he gets away. I don't know exactly how it ends.
Exactly.
So it would have been disappointing for him to just be executed.
I really, really, really like Jet in this episode too. I think that I agree. The scene at the beginning where he's yeah, Spike, you were right in the beginning. We don't need those girls in our ship. We're fine without him, because he's hurt. More so than I think Spike, at least outwardly, is that, people are gone. Because Jet really was starting to feel like they were a family, that he was the father figure of.
Well, he as much says so in the beginning. He's like, I should have expected this. I don't know why I let myself get kind of caught up in the group that we were in. I see, Spike, why you're so negative towards certain people. I do hate the moments of misogyny that we see out of Spike and Jet here and throughout the show.
Yeah.
That's one of the few things about this series that feels a little dated. That maybe if they had done the show more recently, and I guess we'll see what they do in the version where they did do the show more recently, there wouldn't be so much, women always going after what they go after.
Well,
that
and
always
much
kind of
like
bumps
in
me
real
out
life, the misogyny is coming from a place of hurt, fear, and sadness in these men who are together at a bar with
men
too
are
much
like,
of it.
I'm allowed to hate every woman. I had my feelings hurt by one.
Yeah. They made me sad, so they're all bad.
This is a good Jet episode. I don't know the fate of all the characters in the next episode, but I feel like Jet's story is coming pretty full circle. Like you kind of started to mention, there's a point in this episode where Jet tells Spike, go do your thing. Who cares if it's the right or wrong thing to do? I see the passion in you. I see that you have had this hole in your heart as long as I've known you. And we've seen Jet be a person to act similarly in earlier episodes when he's chased after his ex-loves and stuff. So I think it's a really full circle moment of Jet kind of throwing caution to the wind when it comes to Spike and maybe thinking more like, well, if you go off and you die, well, what would living have been if you had just stayed here and wondered what if the whole time, all that. And I feel like we might be building up to Jet being one of the characters that doesn't make it next week. I know you won't tell me, but it's kind of got the episode, spoiler alert for Breaking Bad real quick, the episode before he dies, Hank calls his wife and is like, I love you so much, baby. And when something like that happens in an episode, you're like, oh yeah, they're dead in the next one. So when Jet gives that kind of speech and tells the story about waiting for death with an injury in the end of I kind of think, my prediction is that Jet's not going to make it to the spinoff.
Well, and I was curious what your perception of that all would be because, and I take I think for a lot of the episode, Jet's telling Spike, don't do this. And I think it's coming from a place of, I've just lost over half of the people that are in my life, and I don't want to lose this one. But like you said, Jet kind of by the end is like, go, Spike, like, especially when they're under attack.
He doesn't want the two of them to sit around slurping down eggs, hanging out at the loser bar, talking about the women that fucked them over for the rest of their life. It's time to also have forward momentum like the other members of their team seem to.
Well, and especially when Jet finds out that Julia's looking for him too, I think that was especially kind of the final straw where he's like, no, you got to go find her. Like, you actually have a chance to have not wasted everything. Because I'm sure Jet feels like he has, his woman left and now is with some little boy. And some little baby, baby boy, and Jet's like, damn, I could have been that baby boy, so he's gonna let Spike be the baby boy.
But no, I get the vibes that where characters like Ein, Ed, and Faye have some vague like, oh, this is what they're gonna do after all of this. They have other things to chase after. The characters of Spike and Jet, it's hard to see what's going to come for them on the other side of all this, if anything. I'm betting probably nothing. It seems like the two men kind of agreeing that they're going on a dead man's journey a little bit.
I also really like in this episode the meeting of Julia and Faye. I think it's a fun little kind of badass chick moment where Faye's like, oh, these motherfuckers shot my ship. They're chasing this broad. So she pulls out the gat and with some pinpoint accuracy.
They do have, that's probably the most fun, popcorn, satisfying moment of action in the whole episode is their team up shooting out. That car that they're in is beautiful and the action is intense. And I really like that moment. I also like, I guess that's a good segue to talk a little bit about Julia. We learn in this episode that she's much more a complicated figure. Now, since I'm filling in the gaps, it's been a while since we've watched those flashback episodes, so I might be hazy on it a little bit. But I feel like they implied a lot that Julia was supposed to run away with Spike, but left him for Vicious romantically. Is that something that they kind of implied?
Yeah, that's
but then this episode doesn't, that's not the case, right?
Yeah, it was more so...
It's just that Vicious has demanded that you're going to kill Spike or I'm going to kill both of you. So Julia dipped out.
Well, and I'll say the timelines are also a little bit unclear intentionally with some of the Julia stuff. Like, some of the scenes are very clearly a little bit older, but some
That's true.
could be right now, could have been back in the day.
That's true.
They
But we
haven't
don't
switched
really
up
know
their wardrobe
outside
much.
of the Faye stuff what is specifically right now.
Yeah.
Are you saying that that's true of the very end of the episode?
Well, I mean, you don't know. The episode ends. Julia pulls out a gun, points it at Spike. Maybe she's going to kill him so that she gets to live when Vicious takes control.
It seems like that climactic ending that we're leading towards with the two characters, but because it's in that murky, hazy, rainy, dreary thing we've seen in the past, I almost wonder if this is a confrontation that they had before all of this that sent them their separate ways. I know you're not going to tell me, and I know that's probably not it, but I think it's fun to think
and I
about
think
stuff
a
like
good
that.
show makes you ask those questions when it has
Yeah.
a cliffhanger. Some shows, it's like, oh, they've pointed a gun, and there was a shot that we heard at the end of the episode. You know that when the next episode starts, it was somebody else shooting the person with a gun, you know?
Well, we know that there's one more episode, so we know that these things are huge and characters are probably going to die in the next episode.
Yeah.
But we know that Spike's probably not going to die within the first 30 seconds of the next episode. So I think he might get out of at least this jam. What do you want to talk about in this episode that we haven't? Is there anything that we get from Faye that's important to remember moving forward?
Mostly that Faye is still looking for a place that she feels she's not a burden and that she belongs. I think that is the point of the old lady character, is Faye is feeling...
That's a pretty silly scene. That's one of those scenes that I think probably plays a little bit better in its original language. Because I feel like translated, it comes off as very on the nose.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do we spend this extended 30 seconds with Alfredo and his missing mother?
Yeah, I think that, you know, it is very on the nose in English for sure. I don't know enough Japanese to know the direct meaning of what they actually say, but I like that Faye is feeling those things. I think it makes sense that she is. She feels like she doesn't belong right now because she knows that she should be old and with her classmates. So that's why she doesn't want to go back to the Bebop, because she feels like, well, I'm just a burden there. Because they constantly tell her she is. I mean, she is. She gets them in debt. She fucks stuff up all the time, and she tries to go solo.
Busts
and
up
she's
her
aware
ship
of that.
and then comes back begging for help.
But I think she also knows that that is the closest thing to a home that she has had.
She knows that
in
she's
her
found a
adult
place
life.
there that even if it's not a permanent home, they're going to welcome her in some regard when she comes through the door. She has a place that she can go lay her head down and have some banter with some familiar people, which is important, but it's clear that it's not the family or the sense of personal longing and reckoning that Faye has. She doesn't get that out of these people, even if it is something special and important. I like what they do with Faye in this episode, especially with how the last one kind of left it up in the air if we were going to see more Faye. I kind of figured we would, but I liked the moment here where Spike calls Faye and is like, "What are you doing? Come back. I need your help," or whatever he says. And she's like, "What do you mean? I don't know if I'm coming back. I'm not coming back this time." It's just the same as all the other times, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like this big, oh, she's really not coming back this time, but sure
But
she
Spike's
is.
like, you get the fuck back here. Like, what are you doing?
Since we're getting towards the end of the series, I know that these are episodes that a lot of people talk about, that they hold in high regards. What are some both musical beats in this episode that stand out? And I'd also like to say, just like, you know how there are certain, like, stills of Cowboy Bebop that just have a certain aura, a certain line, a certain feeling that they evoke? What are those moments and musical beats in this episode?
So musically, the episode starts with there are a few vocal songs that are in English in the show.
Right.
Another one of those, can't remember what this one is called, like Sing or Breathe or something like that. That one is nice. My favorite musical moments in this episode. Probably second place one is I love Waltz for ZZ. This is one of my favorite songs, kind of the...
And that's shown up a couple times, right?
Yeah, that one's played a few times in the show, but when Jet's telling Spike that story about the man who, like, barely survived and then was, like, reflecting on his life because he was about to die, plays there, and I think it's a fitting song to play there.
I'm glad you made me remember that moment, because the line, and I'm going to butcher it, but that Jet has about... when you die, you often think of the past to remind yourself in those like last couple moments that you had ever lived at all. I thought that was a pretty profound thought. It definitely made me, like widen my eye and like kind of think about that a different way for a moment.
You know, because they always say, like, your life flashes before your eyes. You know, I think that's a lot of, like, it does, like, that's pretty deep. Like, you're literally grasping at, like, have I, like, lived a life that was worth living? Like, have I made an impact?
And whether you did or didn't, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you're about to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So almost, what's the point in like grasping for those memories? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a thought-provoking scene for sure.
I know the last thought I'm going to have as I'm drifting off into oblivion is, God damn it, we recorded a podcast. Steven better get it out on Monday because this is going to get some clicks.
Just wait till we do our In Memoriam special.
It'll never happen because you won't know how to upload it.
Listen, that's
you could
true.
figure it out.
I'll only put it on YouTube. But not the show's YouTube.
Would anyone like to say a few words? Silence.
I have on the show today Zach and I's senior year ACP English teacher, Miss Thornburg. She's agreed to speak on his behalf. And she's like, who is this? Who died?
Joel McHale's not here.
Didn't you fail my class, Steven?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, we did.
What do we want to talk about this episode while we still got a few moments?
Oh, my favorite musical moment.
Episode. Oh, yeah, sure.
It's a scene where it's so good, so good. So the Bebop is like smoking, going down. The ship's under attack from these syndicate people that followed Faye from the planet, from wherever she was. And they're like, okay, Spike's here. We're fucking going to kill him. Take him out. So Spike is fighting these people. The ship's going down. Jet's like, Faye, like, you know, your ship's busted. You can't go. She's like, this shit's going down anyway. Like, that scene's happening. The Vicious' execution scene where he, like, double, triple cross. McDeluxe is going on. And, like, there's no, like, percussion. No, like, crazy shit. It's just a saxophone. And it's playing like really. I want to use the word heartful, but that's not the right word.
Soulful?
But
I know.
Yeah,
I
right?
think I know
like,
what you're trying to say.
It's not sad. It's not happy, but it's just emotional. Like you hear, it's weighted. It sounds like the person playing could be in either of these moments, thinking this is the last thing they're gonna do, because this could be the last moment for everybody that's on the screen, and
Very
it is for a lot of people that end up dying, right? And I think that the silence that you hear in between the gunshots and the saxophone is used very intelligently, and I think the moments that are filled with noise are used really smartly. The dialogue fits in between really well.
Well, yeah,
like,
even in moments bigger than that, all throughout the show and in this episode, the way that they use the sound of running water, or just the way that they use sound in general on the show. When they're having a conversation and the bartender is shaking the thing, there's always layered third-dimensional sound going on.
And you don't even get that on shows that are made today with much bigger budgets. Like the attention to detail and just how this show sounds. The way that when they're in the hangar, there's fucking reverb on everybody's voice because it's echoey. And then when they're in like different rooms, it doesn't. Like, it's crazy.
Who knew in the 90s that we'd be watching this show with headphones 25 years later, but that it goes in and out from left to right, that it's even like right and like to the back, so it's like quieter. It's very great directional audio. And I would say if you like this show, now it makes me want to watch some of the original audio to see what they do in that, and that makes me have a lot of respect for the people that do the dub, that they put a lot of effort into it to have all that directional audio when it could have just been a cheap copy paste, change the words. I really like that. And if you haven't watched the show with some good headphones, I think you should, because that's something I've enjoyed. I'll watch it on the TV, then you and I get together and watch it with headphones, and it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, it's so incredibly well done. I think I'm so sad that we're at the end, but I'm so excited to get to experience as much as I have with you already. I'm excited to experience the finale.
Yeah, this has been really fun. This has been cool. And, you know, my dick is hard, but I didn't get to finish this week, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It got me excited. I really am anxious to know what's going to happen next week. I don't feel like we've watched and discussed a full episode. I feel like I just got like a little mouthful of the
Yeah, when the like title card popped up halfway through the episode, I was like, "What the fuck?"
You were like, "The episode's halfway over. It's been 2 minutes,
I was
right?"
Pissed. Yeah.
Well, I like that because it does allow for. I think light is the wrong way to put it, but it allows for you to really feel everything in this episode before I'm assuming next week's episode won't have time for anything like that.
Yeah.
I think it's smart to have kind of a slower, breathier episode. One thing I want to touch on before we give our captains this week. I just saw the movie Bullet Train today with Brad
saw a
Pitt.
lot of trailers for that, and I was curious to how it would be. Bad Bunny's in that.
Bad Bunny. Is that the Catch Me Outside girl?
No, that is
Bad Bunny's the Spanish language pop star guy, right?
Bad Bunny, baby.
I've seen him on SNL. I didn't notice him in it. Or I guess maybe I probably just didn't know it was him.
His hair was dark. He had glasses, like sunglasses on. He was one of the bad guys.
I think I do remember I think I do know who he was. What I'll say about it is that it's an American movie that wants to evoke a lot of Japanese stuff.
Oh, cool!
And but it feels, and it's gotten some throwback for being kind of whitewashy. And the movie had its charms. It had its moments. I wasn't really that crazy about it.
Didn't you give it a 3.5 stars out of 4?
It was fun. It was a fun action movie, but I forget all of the details of it already.
Also, is the thing used out of 4 stars? Is that the highest?
It's out of 5.
Out of 5. Okay.
So I'd give it a B plus. It was fun, but I don't think I'd watch it again. And I don't know. But what it made me think of Cowboy Bebop, and it made me appreciate it even more. Of how, I don't know, they tried to do some of the same tricks, but it didn't work because I wasn't invested in the same way.
Sure.
I don't really know how to put that any farther, but I felt like a thing that was trying to copycat some.
Sure, it was these things are cool and people like.
It didn't feel too genuine
in this movie.
I'd be intrigued for you, being pretty well versed into Japanese pop culture, to check it out and see if you feel like it's false or if it's a cool thing.
Is it too new to be on a streaming Amazon Prime or something?
I went to see it in the theater, but I think it's been out for a little while. Maybe it is on its way.
I feel like Prime gets a lot of stuff that's still in theaters.
Or HBO Max, place to be. Who's your captain of the Bebop this week? The penultimate captain.
This week's tough, but I think the person that showed the most captainly behavior was Jet this week. I kind of surprised myself with that, but I think that this week I got to give it to Jet. I think that he was wise, he was emotional, he was raw, and he was real the whole episode. He wasn't putting up a side. It was good.
He showed without being in great battle distress quite yet why he's the captain of the Bebop. He's got a level head. He can call the shots. He can see things from a perspective greater than his own, and he shows that in this episode. And I think it is a tough call because Spike has a great episode.
Yeah,
Faye has a great
really good episode.
Even Vicious has a great episode. But I thought the same. I think it is
honorable mention to Vicious because he's a fucking badass in this episode.
Do you think that's the name that's on his birth certificate?
Yeah.
Do you think his parents
were like,
ugh, that's gonna be a bad guy?
That is a bad. Well, what was Spike's code name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah,
not Black Mamba.
Talon
that was something else, right?
That was Kobe Bryant. Or Uma Thurman's character in Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, yeah. Well, with that, this has been, what did we say that we're calling the show now? This has been The Boat That Rocks. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Very excited to be back next time to talk about the series finale of the original run of Cowboy Bebop. Can't wait.
Yeah, thank you guys for straddling our ship for this long, and we can't wait to smash
let you down
through
easy
that
next
asteroid
week.
belt. Yeah.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Support this show and our podcast network at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, where starting at $5 a month, you can get immediate access to all 40 outrageous sessions of Brokeback Bebop. See you next time, Space Cowboy.